Okay, you have your NFL Week 4 prediction. So you have your first game, the Bengals versus the Dolphins. Definitely a good game. It is. Bengals do have home field advantage. Dolphins coming off a big win over the Bills, even though they were injured, and the Bengals coming off a win over the Jets, a win they really needed. And this one's going to be a good game. Dolphins have looked really good for 3 weeks, and the Bengals have not. But Bengals have a big home field advantage, and Dolphins on a short week after playing against the Bills. So I'm gonna take the Bengals. Then you have Houston versus the Chargers. Houston coming off a close loss versus the Bears, and Chargers absolutely got demolished by Jacksonville. Chargers, Justin Herbert did not look good. The defense did not look good against the Jaguars. I'm hoping they bounce back in it, but the Texans, they looked even worse. Their offense could not get started. Their defense, even though they did hold Fields to a terrible game, I don't think they'll be able to stop Justin Herbert, so I'm going to take the Chargers. Then you have the Colts versus the Titans. Both teams are kind of disappointed this season. Titans both coming off of good, like needed wins, and Titans coming off a win over the Raiders, in which they almost lost the lead, and the Colts coming off a comeback win against an upset over the Chiefs. And this one's a divisional game of both disappointing teams. I'm thinking like, whoever wins the ground game wins, and Jonathan Taylor this year has been better, so I'm gonna take them. Then you have the Bills versus the Ravens. Ravens coming off a great win over the Patriots. Lamar Jackson had a great game. Their defense still not that great. Bills coming off a loss against the Dolphins. They're having so much injuries right now. They just lost a game. This one's definitely a good game. Both teams have looked good at points, but Bills right now are suffering through way too many injuries. So I'm gonna take the Ravens. Then you have a game Saints versus Steelers versus the Jets, and neither team are that good. The Jets coming off a loss against the Bengals. Joe Flacco was not that good. Their defense, even though they did hold the Bengals early on and near the end, they just couldn't do it during the middle, and they allowed them to score 27 points. The um, Steelers lost to the Browns on Thursday Night Football, and their offense is just bad. But still, they have home field advantage and good defense. I'm gonna take the Steelers. You have the Raiders versus the Broncos. Broncos coming off a win against San Francisco on a Sunday Night Football, and the Raiders coming off another loss against the Titans. And looking wise, the Raiders had looked better. They choked the 20-0 lead away, and they came back versus the Titans. And the Broncos offense has looked bad. The Broncos win, but Raiders right now the only 0-3 team. I think that changes. I'm with the Raiders. Then you have the Falcons versus the Browns. Browns coming off a win against the Steelers. Falcons coming off a win also against the Seattle, and Browns are just way more talented right now. Falcons, they do have an offense that can score points, but Browns are way more talented, so I'm gonna take them. Then you have the Eagles versus Jacksonville. Jacksonville had a great win over the Chargers, but Eagles right now they also had a great win um, over the Commanders. I'm gonna take the Eagles. They're way more talented. Then you have the Packers versus the Patriots. Patriots they lost against the Ravens, but their offense looked good. But Mac Jones is now injured. But Patriots defense has lost a step, while the Packers their offense doesn't look as good, but their defense looks much better. So I'm gonna take Packers. You have the Bucks versus Chiefs both coming off losses. Chiefs against the Colts in an upset, and the Bucks losing against the Packers. And Bucks offense just has not looked good so far, but their defense has. And the Chiefs defense actually played well last week, and I think they'll be able to contain Tom Brady. I don't think that Bucks defense can contain Mahomes, so I'm gonna take the Chiefs. Then you have the Vikings versus the Saints. Saints and Jameis Winston did not look good against the Panthers. None of their team looked good. The offense got shut down, and the defense was okay. Vikings come off a comeback win versus the Lions. Their team, I don't know what to think about them. If the Saints bench Jameis, I'm gonna take the Saints, but right now I'm gonna still take the Vikings. Then you have the Commanders versus the Dallas. Dallas currently playing against the Giants, and the Commanders coming off a terrible loss versus the Eagles. This one, talent-wise, I think they're even, but Cowboys usually do well against divisional foes, so I'm gonna take them. If Seattle versus the Lions, Lions choked away a lead. They really should have won that game, but so far their team offense has looked good and the defense has looked good, but they gotta be better at finishing drives. Seahawks just lost to the Falcons, and after that week one, Geno Smith has not looked that good. Their defense is as bad as advertised, and Lions, talent-wise, they actually have more talent for once. Then you have the Bears versus the Giants. Both teams not the greatest, but Giants are 2-0 and could be 3-0, depends if they beat the Cowboys or not. The Bears, Justin Fields has not looked good, and Giants do have a pretty good defense. Bears defense isn't actually that bad. I think this one's going to be a defensive game, but New York have the home field advantage, so I'm going to take them. And you have the Panthers versus the Cardinals. Definitely a trap game for the Cardinals. Cardinals coming off, I'm not sure. Panthers coming off a win versus the Saints. Their defense played great. Their offense was good enough. While the Cardinals coming off a loss against the Rams, where their offense just could not score anything but field goals, and their defense allowed the Rams to march down in the first half, but they didn't play better in the second half. I'm going to still take the Cardinals, though. Then you have 49ers versus the Rams. 49ers, they're looking good. They're looking not good, actually. Their Sunday night football game against the Broncos was terrible, and they did not look good. Their offense did not look good. Their defense played well, but not well enough to win. And the Rams coming off a good win over the Cardinals, but the offense went stagnant in the second half, and Stafford has to get rid of those picks. In the end, I'm just going to use history, and I'm going to predict the 49ers beat the Rams. Like, they're my NFL Week 4 predictions.